Hey everybody, welcome back to our Let's Code tutorial. In the last part we went over functions and just the different types of functions and how to pass certain types of data into the functions as well as their return types. And in this video I'd like to go over a whole new library with you guys. So for this one you're going to want to go hashtag include, and in these angle brackets we're going to go fstream. Now basically what this library does is lets you read in and write to files. So for example, everything we've done so far just has not had any way of saving the data. Like for example, if you want to save all this stuff, in our current situation, all that data is lost as soon as you hit the X button. Now, what if we wanted to actually save that? So what we're going to do is we're going to have to add something. So what you're going to want to do is go into Project, Add New Item, and we're going to want to go into Utility Text File, and we can call this anything we want. We're going to call this, I don't know. I have no idea what we're going to call this. We'll call this input.txt. So yeah, here's input.txt. This is a text file. You can put anything you want into it. Mainly we can put useful data into it. So what we're going to do is down here is we have like a C in kilograms. So we're going to actually ahead of time put our kilograms in this file. We're going to go with 55.7. Okay, and we're going to have to make a couple changes to this file because of obvious reasons. So what we're going to want to do is, like any other data type, we're going to have to declare this. Now, this one is called ifstream, or in-file stream. In-file stream, and like any other data type, you can name it whatever you want. For this one, I will be calling it ins. There we go. So in this case, the data type is ifstream, or in-file stream, and the variable is called ins. Now what ins will do is potentially take the role of the cin statement. Okay, so what we're going to go is ins.open, and in here we're going to put input.txt. So basically what you're going to do is use this variable to open this file. Whatever you want to call it, you just simply change the name. But yeah, it's a .txt file. If not ins, we're going to return 1. And this is where the debugging kind of comes into play. So basically what this little block of code here does is it declares a variable of type ifstream, in-file stream, called ins. It takes ins and opens a text file called input.txt. Now, if the file's empty or whatever, i.e. there's nothing in there, not ins, it's going to return 1 as opposed to return 0. It's just a way of you being able to kind of disseminate where things went wrong in your program. If there's a problem with the file itself, you don't have to go looking through your logic and trying to find potential errors. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to have to alter a few things. In get kilograms, we're going to go if stream. Where's the and button? There we go. Oh, ifstream. Okay. So now we're going to pass in the ifstream to get kilograms. And we're going to go ins because that's a variable. And down here, if stream and ins. And what we're going to do is just simply change that to ins. So I know there's a lot of stuff going on right now, but as soon as we do this, I'm just going to explain the whole gig to you. Okay, here we go. We're just going to debug and let this thing start. Okay. Please enter value in kilograms, 55.7. We didn't have to enter everything or enter anything. It just automatically did it. Now, the flow of control here is again ifstream. This is basically a it's kind of like a class or a customizable data type. We'll go over this in future lectures. This is more of an advanced topic for higher level CS classes and probably my second set of videos. But basically these customizable data types which we can create will have a whole bunch of stuff in it, including functions themselves. So basically this open function is contained within this this class, which we have called ins. And also part of ins is the ability to input something from a file. In this case, we're using ins in the place of cin because it can actually take the place because of what is inside of this particular function or particular data type. It's got the ability to do this. So now then, we also want to, save all this stuff. What about an output? So we're going to go OF stream. Yep, there we go. OF stream, and we'll call it outs. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Outs. Okay. And we're going to call it our outs dot open. Oops, open, just like in ifstream. Output dot txt. Now, the difference and the very big warning about this particular line is the program will create a file called output.txt. If you actually have a file called output.txt within the file that you're creating to, without warning, your computer will destroy that file and create this new one in its place without warning. So just be very cautious of that. Alright. now that we've opened it, we're going to, I'm just going to copy all this because I'm lazy. And we're going to paste right there. And what we can do is outs. And we're just going to, change all this up. Kind of a boring part, but hey, needs to be done. Oops. Okay, there we go. So what this is going to do is it's going to output the results to our panel, as well as it's going to output these results as well to a file called output.txt. And now, good practice, I didn't do this before, but you should definitely do this, is ins.close. Ins.close. Oops, I misspelled ins. Ins.close. Outs.close. So what you're doing is you've opened these files, input and output. Now what you gotta do is close them. Just like any box or something like that. You opened it, you did stuff with it, now you've closed it. One thing I'm looking at here is truncation from double to float. Ooh. Where's this? Line 18. Where's this? I'm sure it's fine. It didn't give us any problems last time, but let's give this a shot. We're going to start with our debugging. There are warnings. Everything seems to have worked perfectly, so we're just going to close that up. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go into our File Explorer. Or actually, no, we don't need to do that. File, open file. And well, you know, we've created an output.txt. And look at all that. All of our stuff is nicely kind of contained within this. Now, I know this is kind of a weird, tricky kind of topic. It does take you a bit to get used to. But the way to think of it is in this library called fstream, you have two data types, ifstream and ofstream. Fstream stands for file stream. ifstream stands for in-file stream. ofstream stands for out-file stream. When you input, you're going to have to declare a variable, just like any other variable. You're going to have to initialize it, so you're going to have to, tell it which file it's going to open. In this case, input.txt. And you're going to have to test to see whether or not it's empty. Because if you're opening an empty file and trying to run a program, you're essentially playing around with no data or wrong data types. And it just gums up your program pretty good. Now, you do all that fine and dandy, and then you have to save it to a place. ofstream. Just like ifstream, you declare the variable with the data type ofstream, and you can call it anything you want. You could call this Sally. Of course, make sure you change it in your program. Sally. Yeah, and I'm not doing that. But yeah, it's like any other data type, these things. So you can play with it, you can experiment all you want with it. When you're done with the file, be sure to close it. I should have done that initially. I didn't. I was an idiot. but you definitely want to close files. Just because, well, it's better on your computer if you close it when you're done. For this reason, you can actually use multiple files from ins. So for example, you could use this input.txt for maybe like half your program, close input.txt, and then open this whole new file called input2.txt. This is all hypothetical, but you can do that. Same way in output. You can definitely create, you can definitely have two different files, but be very careful, because if you switch to another file and then maybe switch back, so let's just copy, paste. We'll call this output2.txt. Various code. So basically, if we opened this output.txt, it had a bunch of various codes that we're doing work with it, and then we closed it, we opened this output2.txt, and then did more various code, and then closed it, and then decided we wanted to go back to output.txt. What would happen here is it would not just open this file again, it would obliterate this file, so all your previous data would be lost, and it would just keep chugging along with this new output.txt from where you start off. Just remember that the computer will do this without warning. Now, obviously, you can definitely kind of code certain things into your program so that you can, I don't know, maybe have something where you can name a file, or you could do other things. You can do it. Definitely experiment with this. And I mean, just go wild, have some fun. Try inputting and outputting. One thing I was thinking of doing is inputting data from a text file, like an input.txt, doing all the data and just having all the data in like arrays, and then outputting all the data to a file with the exact same name. So I was thinking of kind of doing this, because, well, in my program, I would have done all the work. I would get rid of the old input file and create a brand new input file for the next iteration of my program. Now that's just me dicking around and having fun with my own code. Show me what you guys got. You should definitely take a look into this because it's very useful and very essential to programs, because, let's be honest, what would a video game look like if you couldn't save? That would just be the most frustrating video game ever. You'd be sitting there, oh crap, I gotta go through the tutorial of my Call of Duty game again. Like, that would just be horrible. Fortunately, you can save stuff to text files and like all the important data to this text file, so you can pick up from where you left off last time. And so you don't have to do all your work and then write it down or something. And now this is bothering me. Line 20. This is line 21. Line 20. This is an odd one. Float, yeah. It's having trouble on line 22. Well, this is kind of an odd one. I mean, double is definitely a better data type than float. So, I mean, as a general rule, maybe use double more than float, but at the same time. I think I've still got a bit of time left. So just before I go, I actually want to go over one topic with you, and that would be scope. You can think of scope in the sense of Inception. If you've seen the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where they're like going in dreams within dreams and within dreams, it makes zero sense, but somehow it all works in the end. But you can think of that as the same as this one. You'll have a function, let's call it like a main function, denoted by these brackets. And you've got this, you got data within your main function, and then you call like an if statement right here. And in the if statement, you have data. But the data in the if statement was created within the if statement, if that makes sense. Now, the data in like this higher level can go into this data in the lower level, but the data in the lower level cannot go back up into a higher level, if that makes sense. So, for example, we wanted to create a whole, let's say within this if statement there was a loop. And I do it again. So yeah, now we've got 3 different types of data that have been created at different points. Another way of looking at this kind of like how scope works is if you've seen any of those Law and Order movies where the investigators can see into the torture chamber, I mean interrogation room. Yeah, they can see into the interrogation room, but the killer inside the interrogation room can't see out. That's essentially what's going on in here. The data in the higher level is the detective, and so all of this data can be used within this one, and all of this data can be used within this one. So I'm just going to give all my data some names: data A, data B, and data C. So if and I'll call this main, and I'll call this an if, and I'll call this while. Okay? So this is kind of like a pseudo code of what you might see in a program. So here we go. If we are in main, what data is available? Yeah, there we go. If we are in main, what data is available? A, B, C, all of them? A and B, A and C, B and C? Which one is it? I'll give you a few seconds. You can pause the video, think about it. You can go over my ramblings that I call an explanation, and just try to figure this out. If you answered A, you are correct. A is the only data at this level. There's nothing above A, so we don't get any extra data. So just to illustrate the point, I'm gonna Control copy, Control V. If we are in while, what data is available? If you answered A, B, and C, you are correct. C has the data C being declared in it. So within these brackets of while, any local data, in this case data C, will be obviously accessible in it. And inside while is inside this if statement, which had B. Now B can be used anywhere inside of these curly brackets that define an if statement, which includes the while statement and everything inside of it. The while can also take on A, or data A, because A was defined within the main function and is relevant. Oops, I forgot this. And is relevant as long as it's within these curly braces. So everything inside these curly braces, after data A has been declared, can use data A, and that includes the if statement, which includes the while statement. So again, it's kind of like Inception. The deeper you go to, the same characters can keep showing up, but the people in the dreams can't get out. If that makes sense. I know this kind of makes sense in my own head, and I wish I could see your guys' faces to see whether or not I'm getting through to you, if this is making sense, or if I'm making absolutely no sense and you stopped watching this video 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago, yeah, right. Anyway, but yeah, the lower levels can take full advantage of any data that is in these upper levels, in these curly braces. Function. Okay. So what we're going to do is one more. If we are in function, what data is available? If you said A, B, C, and D, you're wrong. The only data that's available in function is D, and whatever you happen to pass in it, but we're assuming nothing was passed in. The reason that function cannot draw on any of this, even if it's called during one of these functions, is because it's a separate entity of itself. It's got its own curly braces. It's completely removed from main. So since it's completely removed and it's like not encased in any other like functions with their curly braces, it has its own. So basically, if from here in I decided to do something like that, except make it look a lot prettier, then I would have I don't know, like if I was looking at while, which is in if, which is in the function as opposed to the main, I would have access to B, C, and D. It probably doesn't make as much sense because I'm using the same names as well as kind of crappy names, but this is essentially how scope works. The data from the higher levels can look inside, but as soon as any data which is declared within these curly braces, any data declared within the curly braces is destroyed as soon as it leaves the curly brace. So we go through this while thing, and C was declared in there, and as soon as we get this curly brace, whatever was C disappears. And as soon as we reach this one, whatever was B disappears. And as soon as we end the program, or end main, A would disappear. This is why in other programs we're able to do something like, I don't know. Yeah, we would use data B to kind of initialize our counter or something within the while. And then once this is done, we just leave and all the data gets destroyed. That's essentially how scope works. And as well, that's how fstream works. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know if it was helpful. Feedback is really great to have. Again, it's really hard to kind of do these tutorial videos when I can't see a reaction from you guys to see whether or not I'm getting through. If you need more in a certain area or less in a certain area, or if, I don't know, you want graphics or something, I don't know. But that's all I got for now. Until next time, again, hit the subscribe button, comment any questions you have, any concerns, and I'll be seeing you in the next part.